Good morning, ASEAN. Freshen up your world, your thought, and your idea with us every weekday morning from 7:30 to 8 a.m. with me, Patsurang Desha Putharangsi.
And I'm also here with you, Nirasha Malisaklumia.
Yes, so most of the ASEANers today must keep an eye on what's actually going on in Europe right now because the spillover effect could have had an impact on our region.
That's right, Patsurang.
Yes, Cyprus president said that it is battling against Eurozone demands that all bank customers pay a one-off levy in return for a bailout. So Nikos Anastasiades said he shared people's unhappiness with the terms, and whereby all bank customers would pay a levy of 6.75% or 10% on their bank deposits. The EU and IMF have demanded a levy in return for a 10 billion euro bank bailout. An emergency session of parliament has been postponed until today. So according to the president, this was the worst crisis since Turkey invaded in 1974. He said Cyprus had to choose between stabilizing its finances or the eventual collapse of its financial system and exit from the Eurozone. Under the bailout's terms, people in Cyprus with less than 100,000 euros in their accounts would have to pay a one-time tax of 6.75%. Those with sums over that threshold would pay 9.9% in tax, where depositors will be compensated with the equivalent amount on shares in their banks. And the president promised to those who kept deposits in the banks for the next 2 years will be given bonds linked to revenues from natural gas. It is also believed, Kunira Shah, that Eurozone leaders, particularly in Germany, insisted on the levy because of a large amount of Russian capital kept in Cypriot banks amid fears of money laundering.
Well, from Cyprus, Patsurang, let's have a look in Thailand, for example. Thailand's 2 trillion baht loan of according to the Thailand's Public Debt Management Office estimates that the country will need 50 years to completely repay the 2 trillion baht loan from the government plans to take out to finance infrastructure construction for 7 years. And the huge loan will also raise the country's public debt level to over 50% of the GDP. Jularat Sutithorn, Director General of the PDMO, said last week that the debt payment plan, which would be submitted to the cabinet for approval soon, will require the government to allocate a budget equivalent to 2 to 3% of the 2 trillion baht loan to service it every year. Amortization of the loan principal would not start until the 11th year. The government is drafting the bill to allow it to borrow the 2 trillion baht. It has to borrow a total of 2.2 trillion baht by 2020. The PDMO anticipates that the bill would be approved by Parliament and about 10 billion baht of borrowing would be made in the first year. The borrowing will peak at 400 billion baht to 500 billion baht in 2016 to 2017, then gradually decline. And the public debt level will also peak in 2016 and 2017 as well, Patsurang, which is in line with the surge of the government's borrowing. And well, lately the country's recent ratings upgrade by Fitch rating will help the government implement its capital mobilization plan at a lower cost. The 2 major factors behind the upgrade are improved political stability and low inflation, which runs about 3% per year on the average.
Moving on to an update in our neighboring country, President Thein Sein is still on an official visit to foreign countries. This time, he has arrived in Australia, flying into Canberra's Fairbairn Airport just yesterday after a 4-day visit to New Zealand. So Thein Sein will meet with Australian Prime Minister Julian Gillard and Governor General Quentin Breeze on Monday, which is today. And the president's visit is seen as an opportunity for the 2 countries to forge closer ties and to enhance investment and trade in Myanmar. It's the first visit by a head of state from Myanmar since 1974.
Yes.
A long time already. He will leave Australia on Wednesday.
Well, Patsurang, still stay in Myanmar. We have Myanmar Focus and Myanmar Focus today with Kun Oravi Tangvisang, who will have a look on the update with the Davao development.
Dubai has been seen as a strategic location which is a door to connect Southeast Asia to the rest of the world since centuries ago. Dawei was a part of both Siam and Burma back then. It was the cause of battles between the two kingdoms to gain the control over the city in order to get the trade benefits. At present, however, Thailand and Myanmar co-developed the mega project Dawei Deep Sea Port and Special Economic Zone after many rounds of hurdles. Let's take a look at a recent update of this project.
Recent updates stated that special purpose vehicles would be formed for project management. The project developer Italian Thai Development will transfer the management right to the SPVs. There will be 8 special purpose vehicles. Thailand and Myanmar government will hold 30% shares. Italian Thai Development will hold 25% shares, while other individual investors from Japan or Korea will hold 40% shares. The SPVs are scheduled to set up by the end of this year. A high-ranking official meeting between Thailand and Myanmar is scheduled for next month to finalize details of the investment. Italian Thai Development said it would invest around 20 billion baht in the project from this year until 2014 for the construction of a seaport, broad and industrial estate in the primary phase. Premchai Ganasut, president of Italian Thai Development, is confident that the project is likely to be able for early industry to come in by 2014.
Early industry ซึ่งจะเข้ามาทำธุรกิจนะก็จะมันสามารถเข้ามาทำธุรกิจได้ปี 14 แล้วเราจะ complete first phase คือท่าเรือ first phase แล้วก็ถนนเนี่ยปลายปี 15 ตอนนั้นก็จะเปิดเป็นทางการนะฮะตอนนั้นก็คงจะมีอุตสาหกรรมขนาดใหญ่เริ่มเข้ามาทำก็นี่ฮะเป็น2เฟสอย่างเงี้ย early industry แล้วก็การเปิดเป็นทางการสิ้นปี 15
แล้วก็ทั้งหมดทั้งโปรเจกต์เลย3เฟสจะเสร็จภายในปีนี้
เราจะเสร็จหมดภายในปี 20 ฮะ 2020
A Myanmar business leader U Kin Choi from Zegaba Company also urges Thai investors to help develop Dawei Deep Sea Port and Special Economic Zone for the benefit of the two countries. He said roads from Thailand to Dawei should be built to have access to the sea. He advocated for this project. Moreover, Trinity Division, where Dawei is located, can also be developed into a tourist destination. Myanmar and Thailand could tap natural resources from Trinity Division for the benefit of both nations. Andrawitang Misang reports.
Konirasha, to practically fulfill the ASEAN theme of connectivity, in which what actually ASEAN countries are thriving for. The latest update is that Vietnam's civil engineering construction joint stock company signed a contract to build 7 bridges on National Highway 6A in the Lao northern province of Hua Pan. But the company, which is an affiliate of the Ministry of Transport Civil Engineering Construction Corporation, will build the bridges with $5.3 million from the World Bank. Chicharan, a company operated by overseas Vietnamese in Laos, and Hua Pan Transport Department signed a contract to build road number 3204 in the province with an investment of $52 million. Addressing the signing ceremony, Hua Pan Party Secretary and Governor Kham Phuong Huang Wong Si expressed his gratitude to the party and government of Vietnam, the Civil Engineering Construction Joint Stock Company, and Chicharan for their support in building important infrastructure projects in his province.
Well, for this one, the connectivity has been delayed for the construction of the bridge in Laos, as according to Laos Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bunkert Sang Somsak has revealed that the construction of a bridge linking Laos northern province of Bogeo with Thailand's Chiang Rai province across the Mekong will be finished in September after being slated for June. He justified the delay by saying extra items had been incorporated into the original framework. The 4th Lao-Thai Mekong Friendship Bridge that links Lao Hoi Sai district in Bogeo province with Thailand Chiang Kong in Chiang Rai province is part of the ASEAN ECS Connectivity Corporation. From the bridge in Bogeo province, National Road R3 leads to Boten in Luang Nam Ta province on the border with China's southwest province of Yunnan. Once it is open, the bridge will play an important role in transport connectivity among the countries of the region. The bridge will be part of the North-South Economic Corridor, which links China Kunming to Bangkok in Thailand, Kunming to Hanoi in Vietnam, and Hanoi to Nanning in China. Director of the Public Works and Transport Department in Bogor Province, Chomsei Songkham, said to the Vientiane Times that the bridge will facilitate the transport of people, goods, and public services across the Mekong River, replacing the time-consuming ferries. Construction of the bridge began in 2010 in Pasurang, and the total cost will exceed $44.8 million, funded with 50-50 financing by the government of Thailand and China. And the bridge will boost the government's effort to turn landlocked Laos into a land link by creating better connectivity to facilitate the transport of goods.
Well, Asia-Pacific nations are facing water security and water crisis, but ADB proposes solutions. A study jointly prepared by the Asian Development Bank and Asia-Pacific Water Forum said that more than 75% of Asia-Pacific countries are experiencing a serious lack of water security, with many still facing imminent water crisis, unless steps are taken immediately to improve the management of water resources. According to Bindu Lohani, ADB's Vice President for Knowledge Management and Sustainable Development, said that while the Asia-Pacific region has become an economic powerhouse, it is alarming that no developing country in the region can be considered water secure. Countries must urgently improve water governance through inspired leadership and creative policy making. The study found that 37 developing countries in the region are either suffering from low levels of water security or have barely begun to engage in the essential task of improving water security. 12 countries are shown to have established the infrastructure and management systems for water security, while no country in the region was found to have reached the highest model level of water security. South Asia and parts of Central and West Asia are faring the worst, with rivers under immense strain, while many Pacific islands suffer from a lack of access to safe piped water and decent sanitation and are highly vulnerable to increasingly severe natural disasters. By contrast, East Asia, which has the highest frequency of hazards in the region, is relatively better off due to higher levels of investment in disaster defenses. But urban water security remains poor in many cities and towns. The study highlights two stark realities: sharply rising inequality in access to water and sanitation, and the increasingly precarious state of rivers. It presents options for measures that can be adopted to improve water security, to mitigate the growing pressure from booming populations, urbanization, pollution, over-extraction of groundwater, climate change, and other factors. According to Ravi Narayanan, Vice Chair of the APWF Governing Council, said water supports health and livelihoods, grows our food, powers our industry, and cools our generating plants, and these different uses can no longer be seen in isolation from each other. Unless these competing needs are balanced, water security will remain elusive, undermining development gains and the quality of life for billions of people in the region, especially the poor. Current levels of investment coupled with outdated policies and institutions have failed to deliver water security. The study highlights the importance of a more productive use of water, including greater recycling of used water, corporatizing water utilities to improve their efficiency, increasing sanitation investment, encouraging more productive water use by food and energy producers, imposing more regulations on groundwater use, upgrading irrigation services, strengthening management of river basins, mobilizing more private sector investment to clean up rivers, and improving disaster risk management are all essential for a more secure water future. Paturang Desha Puttarangsi reports.
And coming up next after the break, Japan TPP participation is backed by Vietnam.